predictions for 2026. That's what we're talking about today for the industry, along with also realtor production, and also maybe some insights regarding buyers and sellers and even investors, because we're starting to pick up a lot more steam as the end of the year comes along. And I have my broker and the VP of our president here. Want them to do a deep dive into what they see coming for this year.
Wait, you said the VP?
I'm not the VP
and
of the president.
Oh, my bad.
Was the VP there?
I said broker.
You said my broker and the VP and the president.
Vic gets on me all the time because I call him the VP when really he's the president. He's not the vice president.
The's an empty seat
then
here.
We have the broker.
I thought you were referring to that. Maybe.
No, the VP's not here today. We have the president, VP's not here, and the broker, yeah.
Like, what the heck?
VP's not here, go ahead.
Before we get into this, me and Vic were actually having a pretty cool conversation right now. An interesting conversation, actually. And I was saying, hey, you know what? So-and-so was at this event yesterday. And Vic was like, I was there. I didn't see them in person. And I said, man, there was a lot of realtors there. He says, I didn't see none of them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, you know what? I said, that's the same thing happens to me. I was just at this NAREP event, right? NAREP. How do you pronounce it? NAREP or NAREP? You're the American, right?
I have no idea.
NAREP?
I just found out about that event this year.
So I just say the whole thing because I don't know how to say it. National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. So
I was at this event, right? And I didn't really recognize anybody because I don't really go to those events, right? And so then they're naming people, right? And when they name the people, I said, I know that name sounds familiar. And even when I look at the picture, right? They put like these pictures up for them on the side. I recognize them. Oh, I know her. But then I'm looking at the person speaking. I'm like, is that her? And so then I pull out my phone. I'm like, I said, is it like literally? And so I'm literally walking around like people are like saying hi to me, right? And I'm literally walking around like, okay, that person looks so familiar. So I'm like, what's your name? So and so. Oh, okay, yeah, I know who you are. Like they're.
Are you checking them on your Palm Pilot or what is it?
Instagram. Sorry. On my Instagram.
That is a little stylist.
Yeah. That's what I said. He's like,
with the mini iPad. With the mini iPad.
These photos, some of these photos are so old and so distorted that you don't. Those people don't even look like they look, and that's one of the things. Like, I think that's my the advantage that I have, right? Is that I don't use filters and I don't, if you see me the way you see me right here in this video, the way you see me posting, if you see me on the street, you see me, so I'm recognizable. Like people know who I am. But I was like, well, there's some people that I see on Instagram all the time. I mean, like thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures. But when you see that person in person, it's like, who is this person? You're like, I can kind of see your likeness. But if I ran into you in the street, I wouldn't know who you are. And I also, people said, oh yeah, I saw you in such and such. I said, why'd you say hi? Oh, you saw me, but you acted like you didn't know me. And I'm like, well, maybe I didn't know you, right? I didn't, I don't know what you look like.
Recognize you.
I don't recognize you, So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I know Instagram you, not in person you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know you with 100 filters, no filters.
I'm a notorious hater on Instagram, and this is why I don't follow people that I don't know. Because of that reason.
Really?
I don't really, if I don't know you, I don't really know how you look. I don't want to disrespect you. I've never liked that, I don't know you or who are you type attitude. So on Instagram, I do use it if I know you, because I openly share a lot of my stuff. My page is public. You can come to my page and find it if you want. But I think for the stuff that I post a lot of my family content. I post a lot of, I just have one account, so I share everything on there. And if I don't know you, I don't think that you want to be looking at my stuff. So I don't really connect with you until you meet me. But back to your, point yesterday, we didn't get to finish the conversation because this started. But I am realizing now, as you're saying this, is that yes, a lot of these guys that were with yesterday do build, and some of and they use a lot of these realtors, which goes back to the conversation we're having in the office. These guys are wanting to take listings away from realtors. These realtors are in there, and I'm talking to them. So, hey, I'm going to fire XYZ. I want you to take over my listing. But I'm going to tell you right now, I only pay 1%. Hey, I only pay 0.5%. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that's why your stuff's not selling. At the end of the day, you get what you pay for, right? If you're not investing into your marketing, if you're not investing into sales staff, if you're not putting time and resources into your build, if you're not valuing the marketing and the sales part of your build, you're never going to do what you're trying to do, which is sell, right? And I was talking to a guy yesterday about it, and he's going to fire this, realtor that he has, and he wants to hire one of my guys. And that was the whole reason why I pulled up. And good meeting, great conversation. It was fun. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I was telling Nate, I don't want to take on not trash builds, but I don't want to take on builds that have been tainted already.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into a situation where we're taking builds that have already been marketed 1,000 times, that people already know that the business is unserious, that they already have just a stigma about them. We're going to go out there and try to do the impossible for half a point. Like I'm not interested.
And that's the thing too. I was, whenever you said that, I think we were having a meeting, and I said, hey, we need to put a pin on that because we really need to have a discussion about that. And it's true. You have a realtor that she did this huge event at this build. Gave all kinds of incentives, did all kinds of media, invited all the realtors in town. There's nothing new to it. There's nothing. There's really nothing that you can really do for that listing. Everybody knows the price. Everybody knows what the incentives are. Everybody knows exactly what they're going to find when they get there, right? So I guess the question is, if you were to pick up a listing like that, what would you do to try to sell something like that that's already been, for lack of better words, tainted, like you said?
I think at the end of the day, most of these events are catered towards other realtors and not really towards the buyer. So I always tell people that what I look for are kind of migration charts, really, but really it's, where are people moving to from what zip code? And if you're able to pull people into that area. For me in particular, if I'm selling an older an older community here in the Loop, that's already been listed, maybe it's overpriced, they've dropped the price, they don't have any buyers, I'm gonna market here in this area. And where people are working here. I'm hoping to catch that frustrated dad that's like trying to rush home an hour away and is realizing like this is not going to work. I need to just go ahead and bite the bullet and be a family man here in the Loop. And if I can catch him at one of these restaurants or rushing for lunch with either with a flyer or with like a conversation piece, then I'm hoping that I'm able to sell this. So my marketing tactics would be geared more towards here. And I'll give out, free game. We've talked about it here at the company about going to set up a booth, in the tunnels, right? Even just like a standalone, I just found out you can print these out at Walgreens. You don't have to go to Vistaprint or Business Page or anything. You print out Walgreens one of the stand-up, tripods with your photo on there, with your information, and you just stand there. You can catch that one person that's like, man, I really don't want to drive an hour today. Man, I really don't want to be stuck in traffic. And just putting yourself in the right situation. And hey, I got a community right here offering incentives. Right? I got a community that'll help you with closing costs, whatever. I have Flex Cash. We'll use it however you want, right? So those are things that I would do. I would focus on the people that are already in, the Loop. They probably want to move here. Most of the time, the commute's what kills people. I know it's what kills me. I know it's what frustrates me. And, I do believe that I'm the majority in that, you don't want to drive an hour, 2 hours, right? So that's what I would do at those communities. Now, let's say you're somewhere out there in Dayton. Let's say you're somewhere out there in Willis, somewhere out there in a, crazy part of town. Then I'm looking at those surrounding areas that are already there. You have people that want to upgrade their homes but don't want to move their kids from schools. So I would immediately look in that same zip code to see what communities are living on top of each other, where parking is tough, where you don't have scenarios, depending on what product I'm selling, right? And that's what I would do. So I would analyze my build, I would analyze the market, and I would see how I can maximize sales in there.
And you mean crazy far, right? Not crazy.
No, they're crazy, but far as well.
No, but it's funny because I was sitting in a meeting with the builder, and Vic is talking to this guy, and like Vic is saying basic stuff. Like, he's not even getting into his sales pitch. He's not even getting into just the meat and potatoes of the whole deal, right? And these guys have never heard this. They're looking at Vic like Vic's, heaven sent, And I'm like, didn't your last real estate agent say this? Didn't the last person you worked with say this? They didn't try to, offer you this? And they're like, no. And then you look at the realtors that they've used, they're probably like on their second or third, right? For in the last 3 or 4 years. And it's the number one agent that you just see at the top of your Instagram and your TikTok feed. It's that one agent that's just super popular, super famous, getting awards, keynote speakers, doing all these crazy things, And it's like, wow, these guys are out there, right? Taking the awards, taking the accolades, positioning themselves as the area professionals, right? Even some are even trying to start selling their own programs, just showing off on Instagram. And yet this small builder that's trying to make a living, right, got sucked up into this and now is sitting here with inventory. How long has he had inventory?
Over 6 months, but yeah, and I just to provide a little clarity here, I guess, or from my perspective, it's I don't really care the size of the builder, and I don't think that this guy was small by any means. I think this guy, this guy is a couple $1 million invested into this project, and he stands to profit a couple $1 million on the completion of the project. The guy is willing to pay for the marketing. He's willing to pay for the stealth staff. He's willing to pay for what he needs to pay for. So this guy is willing to put in there. So I don't want to belittle this particular, or any builder in the fact that, whatever, if you're investing the dollars and you're taking yourself serious and you're taking that gamble, you want your real estate team to take you just as serious. And I'm only, kind of harping on that point, Nate, because that was what upset me with this builder in particular. And I told the builder, you need to take yourself more serious. You're at a different level and you need to operate at that level, which means you need to demand more from your sales staff. You need to demand for the realtors you're doing business with. You need to demand more for yourself. And I was also giving him constructive criticism on his marketing materials that he had and things that he hadn't even thought about purchasing, right? And I think if you're already making the hundreds of thousands of dollars in investments, if you're already making $1 million plus investment, then you want to take yourself serious enough to make sure that you're giving yourself a fighting chance. And these guys weren't. And when for one reason or another, the realtor calls me and we're having a conversation, and this particular agent was saying, hey, you might not have, I don't think you have the experience for this. I don't think you're going to be able to do it. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. She's like, no, just prying, trying to get under my skin. And I give her, and I said, well, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And I tell her, she's like, what do you think that you're going to do that I didn't do here? And I said, well, for one, I'm going to be here. And then for two, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, right? I start giving her my game plan just to, have conversation. And they tell me, she says, oh, well, I don't have that kind of time. I would never take that much time from my day to focus on one client. And that really bothered me from a professional standpoint. It's every client is important. I want to give the same level of service and business to everyone. And I want to build a team that can handle and provide that same level of service. And at no point do I want to overextend myself that I'm not going to visit a community for 3, 4, 5 months at a time because I don't have time, right? You want to give the people the time. You want to give them all your energy and resources. If you don't have it, then maybe pass on the project.
Yeah. And it goes back to, if a real estate agent goes up to you and tries to get your business by offering you lower commission, he's not going to do the job. It's impossible for her. Like you said, she doesn't have the time. Yeah. Why would she sit out there if she's getting 1% commission? She has to run around and get other deals. So even if they are getting their full freight, and not doing it, then shame on her, Yeah. Or him, whoever it is. I don't know who it is. Yeah. I'm just throwing a.
Oh yeah, gender neutral. Everybody can get
him or her.
They them, right?
Anyways, but back to our point. Sorry, we went away.
But yeah, that's why it's like me personally, I think next year, 2026, is gonna be the year of the professional. So whether you handle new home sales, new construction for developers, for investors, flippers, buy and hold, regular buy and sell in a specific area, this is what people are going to be looking for. They're going to want the person who specializes in that aspect of real estate, not real estate in general, like the post that everybody does as soon as they get their license. I can help you with buying, selling, investing, whatever it may be, out of the country sales, right? They want that person who knows what they're doing in that specific area, because that's how you're going to get the best service. The more realtors that leave the industry, the harder business is going to get in general, because we've got to go back into sales like how we talked about. So they're going to be looking for that professional.
So we know what's going to happen. I mean, we've been predicting here at Lionsgate Realty. We've been predicting the market for the last probably 8-9 years. We've been saying what's going to happen, and so we know what's going to happen here with the builders, with the sellers, with the buyers. We know what's happening, especially with the realtors. Exactly what I said was going to happen to the realtors has been happening. The one thing that I really have not gone down that rabbit hole, right? Or I haven't really done much of my research on, and I see that it's going to be a player in our market for the next couple of years. Is the the battle of the titans, right? Or the tech titans, right? I know you're a little bit more I guess, knowledgeable on that. What do you think is going to happen next year with everything that's going on with Zillow fighting with who's Zillow fighting with? They're fighting with Google now, right? Or they're going to compete with Google. Or
Google just they're just making their own pretty much platform like Zillow, right? So now Zillow is going to lose all of that search. And every MLS, everything that goes through Google is going to lose all that search volume because Google is going to create their own website for real estate. So if you do have a listing, what I was telling Nate yesterday, what I feel is going to happen, going back to my point about being the professional, is if you're not niched down and expert in your area, whatever that may be, you're going to be spread too thin to where you don't come up in enough information for Google to push you out. So you're doing investments, you're doing rentals, you're doing buy and holds, you're doing development, whatever you're doing funny dances on TikTok instead of information on TikTok, you're going to spread yourself so thin that there's not going to be enough information for Google to even recommend you as a realtor, even if your listing is there. Because now Google's going to have control of all of that. Because they're not going to give any search to Zillow or HAR, or it doesn't matter, right? Like right now, you type in an address, it goes what? Straight to Zillow. Yeah. It's a top search. If Google has their own website, it's going to go to Google. Yeah. So you start asking, is now with Google's Gemini, you start asking, okay, well, who's a realtor for this area?
You said Google or Google?
Google. If you do Google and you start asking it's AI, right, the Gemini, asking, okay, well, who's the realtor that I should go to in this area? And you don't have enough information specialized in that area, well, then you're not going to be the one that gets pulled up. Going back to like my prediction, I think next year is going to be the year of the professional. Whatever that is for you in that area, you need to be that professional. Baytown, Webster, inner loop, even inside of the inner loop is too big for you to dominate the whole inner loop.
Definitely.
Yeah. Are you in the Heights? Are you in Independent Heights, even though it's a little bit on the outside, right? Montrose, whatever it may be. Downtown 002 is his own little area.
Clutch City, baby.
Clutch City, right?
And, and so let me ask you this.
Washington Street. Washington Avenue.
So you're essentially saying that you need to become the professional in your area, right?
Yeah, whatever that is for you.
Whatever it is for you. Mm-hmm. But see, what a lot of people are understanding too, right? Or the other side of this is that if you don't become the professional in your area and you still want to be that realtor that, oh no, Houston's my market, I sell everywhere, I don't have a specific place, I'm nationwide, I'm international. If you still come into 2006 with 26 with that attitude, there is going to be that smart real estate agent that's going to dominate his area. And then it's going to squeeze out that whole, I can sell all over. Because they're going to have a hold of their market. You won't be able to steal those anymore, right?
Yeah. Those people won't be able to last in the industry. Again, there's not going to be enough for Google to pull from you because you're spread so thin. That whoever is dominating that area, I mean, they're just going to be the one that gets hit all the time.
Now, one more question. If you're a real estate professional in the Houston area right now, which AI do you recommend or should they be using, in your opinion?
I say use the one that you're more comfortable with. Me, I use ChatGPT because I know the ins and outs of it. I've been using it since pretty much it came out. But Gemini is pretty good. I think Grok is the only one I'm kind of iffy about because it's just on Twitter, from my understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, on X.
I think it's on my Tesla.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's super cool.
Well, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because it's Elon.
It does preferred route tracing for the maps. They just released an update now, and it's gonna have like real time updates on how to navigate traffic and stuff.
Yeah.
Now I heard something interesting, right? I heard that that AI is going to eliminate lawyers. Have you heard that one yet?
No.
Okay, so I heard AI is going to eliminate lawyers. That essentially you no longer need a lawyer to go argue your case if you could just get AI to figure out all your information. Go ahead.
I think they came out with it. They're not going to let it give like medical and legal advice now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's never.
It's censored, but you can
yeah,
get away
it's
with
never
it.
given like actual legal or medical advice.
And it'll literally ask you, "Do you want to ask me this? Yeah, I want to ask you that." And it kind of alludes to the question that you want.
But going back to what we had talked about a few podcasts ago, I want to say it's probably like 5 episodes, is that now there's just so much junk within the AI. Like there's fake case studies that the AI pulls from, that they're fake case studies. So they never really happen.
Yeah.
So now the way the professors know that somebody's using AI is because there's a fake case study and then they're like, this never happened. So with lawyers, like if you're just using the AI or to do it yourself, to be your own representation, you're not going to know it's a fake case study that it's pulling from. So that's why I say when it comes to using AI, like you have to know the system itself and how it responds. I always have to correct the AI on what I'm looking for, searching for certain things. I don't really use it to create like stuff that I'm trying to push out. I use it for information, and I try to give me multiple sources so I can go into the source. It's a easier way as a search finder, in my opinion.
Yeah, that exactly what you're saying is the most important part, which is you want to, like they've told you in school your whole life, is cite your source.
Exactly.
Where's the source coming from? Is it credible? Can you verify it? And that's when you know that you could use it in your argument or in your in your paper. So when I hear people say, "Oh, I've done my research" or "I'm doing my research," what kind of research are you doing? Where have you verified it? What are you checking against? And where's your source coming from? Can you show me something so I can see if what you're even telling me is worth my time? Because yes, like Giovanni said, the chat's going to give you made up stories and there's no way for you to know the difference. I'm not going to lie. On Instagram right now and even on Facebook, you're catching me late when I'm bored or tired. And some of those stories start to get me. And then I'm like, bro, this is AI. Or some of the photos start to get me. They're getting really good.
Yeah.
They're getting great. So before we go, I think I'm very disappointed that both of you guys don't want to highlight that here at Lionsgate Realty, we use Copilot because it's embedded in Microsoft. And we provided that to you guys.
Yeah.
We have a premium Copilot, which is a ChatGPT premium. We have that included to our agents. And we use that to power our Microsoft Teams, a lot of our automated systems in here. So, next year that's going to change. You guys will experience the awesomeness.
So one of the things is, right, like everybody says, realtors have to use AI or they're going to get left behind. I'm the complete opposite of that. Most realtors don't need AI, especially if you're just starting, you're growing. You don't need it. AI is a system to help you scale. If you're not in position to scale at the moment, leave AI alone. All it's going to do is give you too many options. And AI doesn't tell you, no, don't do that. It reinforces what you want it to tell you. So if you sit down and you're like, okay, but I kind of want to do this instead, or you're leaning this way, it'll just double down. Like, just do more content. But if it's not producing, then it won't actually give you advice.
Now, I disagree with that. And the reason I disagree is because when I got into real estate, the internet was only like a couple of years old, right? And it had been for a while, but nobody had used it. But when I got into real estate in 2004, HAR had just started in 98 or 99, okay? And so they said that the internet, because there was a lot of old school realtors in those days. And I remember when I got into the business, they were saying, hey, all these people are going to get left behind, that don't learn how to maneuver through the internet, don't know how to maneuver through HAR. And so I was lucky enough to know how to use the internet, and I was able to scale my business, right? But then the next thing that came on was social media, right? And so same thing. I was a part of the people that didn't believe that social media was going to play a big part in real estate. I didn't. Yeah. And people told me too, like leave it alone. I mean, I think I even got in trouble a few times, and now with this whole AI thing, it's kind of like, I think that it is going to be essential and it's going to be very necessary to know AI and to be able to maneuver through it, to be able to have a career in real estate. But I don't think it's going to be in the next couple of years. I think that's like a 10-year thing. But I think that you should learn AI. I think you should get into AI. But like you said right now, yes, don't go down the rabbit holes. Don't do your whole business just focused on AI. Don't, I understand that part,
Yeah, I think, really what I'm saying is not necessarily don't use it. I don't think you need to learn it. Whenever I say learn it is like what I do. Like I build custom GPTs on the back end for.
He said, "Don't learn it like me.
Come
to me.
It could be
$5.99.
It could be a waste of time doing that, especially if you don't know how to build it out properly or what you're even looking to do. And like me specifically, I know exactly what I want those custom GPTs to be used for. So I do use them like on a daily basis for that. But if you're just trying to like, I need to write up an email, learn how to write up an email. Especially if you don't got 100 different clients.
Nah, bro.
Learn how to properly write an email.
There's some people that need ChatGPT for emails. I have no idea what they're saying, man. Seriously. I look, if you're gonna
With
send
some
me an
people,
email,
I need the new Apple AirPods to hear them translate their English.
if you're emailing me, use ChatGPT because I have no idea what you're talking about.
They said I am pro ChatGPT
Condense
on
it.
that.
Say, hey, in 10 characters or less.
Look, while we're on the subject of AI, I want to show a very special message that I sent to my beautiful cousin Ariana. It says I sent her a message, and she said, "Very sweet, acknowledged, unable to attend, appreciation conveyed."
That's a robot right there, bro.
And then I was laughing because obviously I knew that she doesn't really. Nate's always saying that she's like really cutthroat and like straight to the point.
Yeah.
But Ariana's always done really good at like sending me what I need, which I talk a little more and I'm a little more, kind of affectionate and stuff. So I opened up the text and it's just like a long paragraph. And I told her, AI's onto you, Aries. We know that was all fluff.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty funny.
These younger generations do not want to have a conversation. They just want to get to the point, get it done with, and let's move on.
Yep.
And it's gonna be interesting.
Do you use the Apple AI on your phones?
Siri?
No, is it Siri? But
I
it
don't
just
know.
is it Siri that's like so. If you look at this little note, you'll
seen
see it
that,
on your iPhone. It's Apple Intelligence. It's AI.
Oh, it's the one that has like this woven in and out.
Yeah.
So it
No, I don't use
summarizes like all of my messages. So that's why I brought this one up. It's funny because Ari's actually did say a lot more, but it really just cuts to the bulk of it, which is
I
like
do use it,
acknowledged,
yes.
appreciate, not doing it, and it just like it summarizes the whole freaking thing.
I don't know how I did that. It does it to me like if I don't read a message, it'll give me a summary of the message real quick, and then I'll click on it. But I didn't even know that was an option. I just thought that's just what.
Yeah, you
Apple
can
was
turn it
doing
on
that.
or off, and I
do like that though. It's awesome instead of having to read the whole freaking message.
They're
Yeah.
good. They're good for those group chats.
I
So
hate-
like,
I hate-
if
I
you're
hate
if you're
reading
ever in
messages.
those group chats,
Nate and Vic are arguing. Respond or
literally,
not. And like, nah, I'm okay.
yeah. Nate brought you in.
Yeah.
Nate brought you in, so you have to respond now.
Nate is asking if you were out drinking. Leave that alone. Don't even look at it. Flip the phone over.
No.
So what do you think is going to happen next year with all these mortgage companies, man? Because I see them kind of struggling a little bit.
What do you mean?
I see them struggling. All the loan officers.
I think the loan officers had a mass exodus like 2 years ago. The moment rates shot up, they quit a lot. I think that whoever's holding on now, I think is
here
going
to
to be
stay?
around. Yeah, their max exodus happened before ours. We were still selling some houses at 8-9%. They weren't writing loans.
No.
That happened like I
Talking-
don't know, unless y'all feel differently.
Well, from what I see, like talking about the events, how we were talking about earlier, right? The way that I see it is whenever you do go to these events, it's like looking at the fish that are like out of water. They're all floundering on top. They're at events trying to find the little pocket of water to dive into. Everybody who's not at events and they're working because they're super slammed, they're under the water. Like you don't see them. All of these other fish that are floundering at all these company events, lenders too, same thing. The lenders that we know that are working, they're freaking slammed.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with our realtors. They're slammed. They don't got time to go to events. Even right now when most realtors take a break. Look at our realtors that are freaking killing it right now. Bro, they don't got time for anything. They're ripping and running nonstop. So I think the ones that we see at the events right now, those ones who probably ain't going to make it next year. They'll be out either. They're probably just getting the last free meals right now. That's it.
Yeah.
Until they quit completely next
The
year.
reason I ask is because I only know a few lenders, right? I don't use any, I'm not producing, so I don't really deal with lenders, and I only know 3 lenders that we kind of know, right? And they've all been okay. 2 of them are hurting and trying to turn it around for themselves. But I haven't seen what's out there. I haven't seen of any lenders. But you're saying that lenders have gone out of business or have quit the business.
Yeah, I've seen that strongly over the last 3 years. I think right now, I think they've already made it past. I mean, rates are manageable. You're in the 6% interest rate. There, home sales are strong. If you have a good base, your client should be selling. Your realtor should be selling. I mean, just like we said, our account alone, we're not by any means a big, huge company as big as we want to be. We're selling 300 plus loans, a year on the buyer side. Those are 30, 25, 30 transactions a year for a lender. Somebody that would care and appreciate a client like we are would more than take care of their family. and I think the lenders have stuck to their people that they're growing business from. Like Giovanni said, the ones we see are the ones we see out. Yeah,
they're the ones gasping for air. All right, guys. Well, that was a great podcast. What we're predicting for 2026, and hope we don't see you at any events if we do go to one. That way we know that you're working. Go ahead and let you guys exit.
There you go.
Damn, they cut off our lights.
That's our time.
My name is Victorino Cortez. I'm the president here at Lionsgate Realty. We are growing, we are hiring, and I look forward to hearing from you if you need a change.
My name is Nate Balderas. Our VP could not make it today, so we have an empty chair for him. But yeah, you can find me at all my social media outlets at Better Call Nate.
And I am Giovanni. You can find me on Instagram as Giovanni East HTX. Until next time.